चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारि मृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, chapter 28, beginning from verse number 12. So this is a description of Puranjana's old age, and it was described how the old age personified by the name of Jara came and attacked the city, which signifies the body of Puranjan. And then others, army men of Yavaneshwara, the fear Bhaya, they started plundering. And then the Gandharvas, they were already doing the job day and night. And then the brother of Bhaya, who is known as Prajwara, signifies fear, he came and he set fire to the city. So this was so then he became very scared and afraid, and this is what is being described now here. Tasyam sandhya manayam sapaurah saparichadaha kautumbikah kutumbinya upatapyata sanvayaha. So when this was being burnt, then he became very much worried. Puranjan was in great distress because all the residents of that city, all the servants, his family members and his wife, they all were troubled. Because Puranjan was suffering, so they also suffered, and of course they are also living in the city. So they are not spared from this fire. So Krishna Chakravarti is giving the meaning of all these words, what they signify. Sapauraha. Sapaura means along with the residents. And he comments on this Sapta Dhatur Sahita. And the residents here signifies the 7 dhatus. The body is made of the 7 dhatus. So obviously in old days they all lose their proper function, become imbalanced. And Saparichada, the associate servants. So Sarvendriya Bhritta Varga Sahita. So this means all the senses and vritti of the senses. Kutumbena divyati ti kautumbikaha. And he is called Kautumbika because along with all his family members. And Kutumbinya Buddhya, and the Kutumbini, which means the female family member, that is the Buddhi. Sandhi Abhava Arsha Sanvaya Putra Patra. And the relatives, they signify all the sons and grandsons. So which means all the various thoughts of the Buddhi, the desires, his viewpoints. So they all got disturbed naturally in the old days. Nothing functions properly. Yavno puruddhaya tanayo grastayam kalakanyaya puriya prajvara sansrishta purapalo anvatapyata. And now the big problem came for the snake who was protecting the city. So when this city was under the influence of Kalkanya, Jara, then the snake, he was very much in pain because he realized that the place of his residence has been completely occupied by the Yavanas, and Prajvar was also attacking it. So the protection was given only by the snake, and we saw that snake was already fighting for 100 years with these Gandharvas. And now along with Gandharvas, the Yavanas also came to signify the disease. So it is only the life air which keeps the body alive. If life air leaves, then everything will leave. In the Upanishads there is a story. Once there was a meeting of all the senses, and every sense was trying to impress the rest of the senses that how that particular sense is very important. The eyes were saying if there is no eye then you cannot see, and the nose was saying what about breathing and smell. So then they decided that okay, let's find out who is most important. So they said alright, so the eyes left the body. Eyes left the body is blind but it's still working. You can still eat, you can sleep, and you can walk, and you can talk, you can smell, and you can hear. So then it says, come back. So she came back. Then the ears left. Okay, you cannot hear, but you can see, you can smell, you can eat. So like that, one by one left. But when the prana left, then everybody was following him. He says, please don't go, because when you are leaving, we all become dysfunctional. So that's why it is called prana, or the life air. But life is there as long as the life air is there. So therefore the life air leaves means the soul also goes along with it. Soul cannot live in the body, there is no life air. So that's how it is being described here, that the snake was fighting alone. And now he also became old, and when he saw that his place of residence, the body has been occupied by the Yavanas and it is being attacked by Prajvara, the fever, and it is completely shaken by Jara, who is embracing it. So he got very much in trouble and didn't know what to do. Nashayke savitum tatra purukrichhroruve pathuhu gantum acchattato vriksha kotradiva sanalat. So at that time he was not able to do anything. He was not able to protect the city, and he was like trembling, and he decided to run away from there, just like if a snake is living in the hollow of a tree and the tree catches fire, then the snake will run out of it. So like that, he also decided that he should leave this. So Gantum Achat Tato. So because he was feeling much difficulty staying inside the body now. Purapala Prajagara Prana Sa Purapala Avitum Rakshitum Vrakshakotradi Sarpa. So there's nothing, just a meaning of the some words. And Sthila Avyavo Yarhi Gandharvair Hata Paurushaha Yavnairari Virajan Upuruddhorurodha. So all the limbs became loose, and the Gandharvas, they destroyed all his power, because Gandharvas signify day and night, means the time is over. In the yoga philosophy they say that when a person is born, then the number of breaths are fixed, that a particular person will die after so many breaths. So his breaths are over now. That is the meaning that the Gandharvas have attacked him. And when he wanted to leave, the Yavanas, the enemies, they came and surrounded him. So he became very fearful and he started crying. Poor fellow. One snake, so many people trying to attack him. So he was crying. So crying here means Ghur Dhvanim Chakar. That when a person is very old, cannot breathe properly, and from the throat he makes this Ghur sound. Right? So that is crying of the snake or the prana. As if prana is now has to leave the body and making this sound. Duhitri putra potransya jami jamatri parshadan svatvavishta avsistam yat kinchit griha kosha parichadam aham mameti svikritya grihesu kumatir grihi dadhyau pramadaya dino viprayoga upastitehi lokantaram gatavati mayyanatha kutumbani vartishyate katham tuesha balakanam shochati. So now he describes the situation of Puranjana, how he felt. Because Puranjana was very much attached to his body, which is described here as attachment to his city and the family members. So he had daughters, he had sons, he has grandsons, and he has the daughter-in-laws and son-in-laws and the associates. So there was too much attachment to all of them, Svatva system. And then he had the house and he has all the paraphernalia. So all these things, they had his attachment. For them he was very much worried now. Ahamameti swikritya griheshu kumatir grahi. He had the feelings of I and my and all this. And this person, he pramadaya dino viprayoga upastita. He realized that now he will be separated from his wife. So this caused him a great anxiety. That how am I going to live without her, or how she is going to live without me? So Jamayo, Atra Sunusa, Jami here means the daughter-in-law, Pramadaya Striya Saha Viprayoge Upastita. Now the time of separation came from his wife. Iti jivasya sthula sharir bhange buddhya vichheda bhavat pramada iyam na puranjani किंतु संसारिणो जीवस्य सर्वेन्द्रियैर भोग्या ममतास्पदी भूता व्यवहार की एव भार्या व्याख्या. Now from practical point of view there is little bit of dissimilarity here in the allegory, because when the person dies, the soul leaves, the life years leave, then the buddhi also goes along with it, right? Because the subtle body goes along with the soul, and subtle body is what contains buddhi, and buddhi is what was depicted here as wife. So in a way he is not separated from the buddhi. So then how it is said here that now the time came for him to be separated from his wife, which represents buddhi. So he gives an explanation for that. He says when the gross body of a condensed soul is destroyed, then there is no separation with the buddhi, buddhi vicheda bhavat. Therefore this pramada, because the word here is not wife but a woman, the time for separation from woman. So he says this woman here is not Puranjani. It is not that time has come for him to be separated from Puranjani. It is not Puranjani. But then what is it? He says, Kintu sansarino jivasya sarvendriyer bhogya mamtaspadi bhuta vyavahar ki. He says it is actually just the attachment which has been depicted here as a woman. The material attachment to the sense objects, because one has very much feeling of oneness with these sense objects, the objects which are enjoyed by various senses. So he says this is what is stated here as woman. Duhitradayo api atra tat sambandhinyo neto adhyatma pakshiya vyakhya. And these children, etc., the daughters, sons, they are also only which are related with this material attachment. So they should not be explained as we have been understanding, that wife is the buddhi, the sons are like determination, doubt, all these thoughts which come in the mind, and then the children are further activities related or decisions made on basis of that. So he says they should not be explained here like that, because all these things are not separated from the soul. So this wife and then all these sons, daughters, etc. are only things which are related with the sense objects in which one has attachment, because one is separated from that. One is separated from one's house, one's wealth, all that, and one has attachment. So that attachment called mamata, that is like the woman. Anyetu मरण काले च जीवस्य स्त्री पुत्रादीनाम एव स्मरणं संभवति न तो बुद्धि विवेकादीनाम इति केचिदाह. He says that at the time of death one does not remember one's intelligence, one's discrimination and all these things. What one remembers is one's wife, one's children, which are object of attachment. Therefore, it should be explained like this. Giving reason. So this is how some people say, and then others they say a little different. It says Anyetu dharmavati buddhireva puranjanitvena purvam prastuta ityato mrityu samaye dharm buddhya vichhedo buddhyantreena sanyoga namaya nashite bhunkte ityadikam tu sadbuddhi vichhedat पूर्वमेव यदुक्तं तदेव अग्रे वक्ष्यते तच्च मम अधुनापि धर्माचरणं तृप्तिर्न जाता किं करोमि मरणम् उपस्थितम् इति एतस्यैव अर्थस्य उत्प्रेक्ष्य विवरणं ज्ञेयमिति आचक्षते. So the other people say that there is no need to explain it like that. They say that you can still continue to explain it as we have been doing previously. It says that when a person is dying, then buddhi is being separated from him. Why? Because he said that buddhi, which signified Puranjani or which was portrayed as Puranjani, was only the pious buddhi, dharmic buddhi. Because in the story we saw that when he went for hunting, leaving the wife or the queen, Puranjani, at home, then it was explained that he gave up the dharmic buddhi, the pious intelligence, and came under the influence of adharmic or impious buddhi. So he says that Puranjani is only the pious buddhi and not the other one. So at the time of death, he is being separated from the pious buddhi, because there is nothing pious he can do now. Buddhyantrena sanyoga na maya nashite bhante ityadikam. And at that time, he has union with the other buddhi, other than the pious buddhi. So when it was said that when I ate, he ate, etc., which he is going to say this in the upcoming verses. So he says this is only remembering of the past in relationship with Puranjani, which is pious buddhi. न मय्या नाशिते भुङ्क्ते इत्यादिकं तु सर्वबुद्धि विच्छेदात् पूर्वमेव यदुक्तं तदेव अग्रे वक्ष्यते. And this will be stated later on also. So then why is he feeling sad? He says the meaning is that mama adhunapi dharmacharane triptir na jata kim karanam kim karomi marnam upastitam. He says that he is distressed because he is thinking that I am not satisfied by performing dharma, by following the principles of dharma. I am still not satisfied. And now the time has come for death. So what can I do now? And therefore he is lamenting. Iti etasya varthasya utpreksha vivaranam gyayamiti acharya. This is how some other people explain. So basically two explanations have been given here of his separation. One is that he is actually feeling separation from Puranjani because he is no more will be in contact with the pious buddhi because there is nothing he can do. And the other is that pious buddhi is with him and it is just the attachment part which is being described. लोकांतरम गतवती मय्यनाथा कुटुंबनी वर्तिष्ये ते कथम त्वेषा बालकान शोचते. Say that when I will go to another loka, another planet, then she will become without any shelter. She will become a refugee. And she will have a whole family on her head. So how she will survive while lamenting for the children? Taking care, how she will take care, because till now all this was being done by me. So this is what he is feeling. न मयि अनाशिते भुङ्क्ते नाश्नाते स्नाति मत्परा मयि रुष्टे सुसंत्रस्ता भर्त्सिते यत् भयात्. And now he is talking about that how much she was devoted to him, how nice a wife she was, that she will not eat before I ate. So this was a custom previously, that a wife will not eat till the husband ate. Now it may look very ridiculous, but previously in India, every wife did that. And this was just their habit. So this is what he's saying. Nasnate snati matpara. And if I did not take baths, he also did not take bath. And Mayrustesu santrasta. If I got angry, then she was full of fear. And bhartsite yat vaga bhaya. And if I chastise, then she will be very quiet and disturbed. So anasite abhojite bhartsite bhartsman kritavati. And prabodhayati mam vigyam vishute shoka karshita vartme tad griham virasurapi neshyati. And if I made some mistake, then she will correct me. And if I traveled to some distant place, then when I came back, she was very much emaciated because of separation. She will not eat properly. So there is a lot of description in the Sahitya and the plays also. When the Nayaka or the hero goes away, how Nayika feels separation, the hero. And poets are very expert in making conjectures. So the hero comes back home and he does not see the wife. Why he does not see? She is there, but she has become so thin that she is invisible. Right? Sloka like that. But she was so thin that she could pass through the hole of the needle. And they will describe that.
He was out for a long time.
That she was without any ornaments. Why without ornaments? Because all the bangles and everything came out. It won't hold on to her hands anymore because they are so thin. And she could not wear any ornament because she was so weak. So there is a lot written on this Vipralambha. So Vishite Shoka Karshita. She will be emaciated because of sadness. Because she will not tolerate. And although she is very bold, Veeramata, she is called Veeramata, who has given birth to many heroic sons, then still I don't know how she is going to maintain this house without me. So many people think like this, that if you go away then everything will collapse. Right? Everything is running because I am here. And when I am not here, then the world will come to an end. I remember when I was I was not very grown up, but this Jawaharlal Nehru, he died in 1964. It was summer time. And then all the people in the village were worried that now what will happen to our country. Because how people were brainwashed to think that only he can be the Prime Minister and no one else is there after him. They were actually worried. Like now in North Korea, this Jim Kim Kom, whatever his name, died. So what a natak, drama they have done about it. There was a vulture rotating around the pillar and this and that, and this signifies he was a great soul, and rain came, and I don't think anything really happened. They make it look like that.
His son is going to take over, isn't
Yeah,
he?
because all the power now comes into the sun. So,
As crazy as his father, isn't he?
or maybe as wonderful or divine. So he is also thinking that if he goes away, then how the family is going to survive? It's not possible. And although he has all these grown-up children, but they must be all stupid. They cannot live without him. So he says, Katham no Darakadina Darakirva Parayanaha Vartishyante Maigate Bhinnanave Bodhadho. Says how all these children are going to live. And what about the daughters? So how will they survive? They are really deena, pitiable. And when I go, they will be just like people who are traveling in a boat and the boat breaks down. And what is the situation? You are in the ocean. Bhinnanave ivo udadam. Darkaha putraha. So Darka means the sons, and Daraki, Darakyaha kanya, the daughters. Maigate sati parayana parashraya ateva dina. So they are all parayana, they are sheltered on others. How will they survive? They are very pitiable. Katham no vartishyante. Tesham vartanam tu na sambhavati iti dashtante. So it is not possible that they will survive without me. They will all be destroyed. And he gives an example. Udadhau samudre bhinna naur yesham tesham sthitir yatha na sambhavati tathai tesham api iti. So just as if you are in a boat inside an ocean, in the deep ocean, and the boat gets smashed sometimes by the waves, it breaks, then how can people survive? So this will be the situation of this. Evam kripanaya buddhya shoshantam tadarhanam grahitum krita dhirena bhayanama abhyapadyataha. So when he was lamenting like this with his intelligence, then what happened? So although he should not lament like this, atadharanam means that it was not worthy for him to lament, because everybody understands that we are not this body and we are separate. But because his intelligence was covered by ignorance, then he was very much lamenting for the children and the wife. And then the king of the Yavanas came there. Bhayanama Grihitum Krita Dhirenam Bhayanama Abhyapadita. So this fear finally he is there to catch him by the neck. Evam kripanaya atadharanam tasya chaitanya rupatvena shoka anochityat. So it is not appropriate for anyone to lament because he, the Puranjana, is a soul, he is a conscious being. And therefore it is not befitting that he laments like this for this material body. Yadva dharmikatvena bhayakartrik grahana anarhat. Or it is not appropriate that he should be caught by fear because he was a dharmic person, he was a pious man. So the word atadharanam he is applying in both ways. One is that it was not appropriate for him to lament because he is a spiritual being, or it was not proper for fear to capture him because he was dharmic. Pashuvad yavnairesha niyamana swakam kshayam anvadravad anupatha shochanto bhrishamatura. So then the Yavanas, they came and they carried him away just like an animal. And then when that happened, then all his servants who were very much in trouble, they also followed him while crying. So that means now the soul is leaving the body along with all the servants, means the senses, etc. Life, air, buddhi, everything is going out. Tatasya esha pashuvat niyamano anubhuta. So he felt as if he is being carried away like an animal by Yavana. Yavana here means the Yamadutas, the servants of the Lord of Death. Tam anu pranadya adravat. Then the life, air, etc. followed him. Anupatha anuvartine. Tatha cha sruti tam anutkramantam prano anutkramati pranam anukramantam sarve prana anutkramante. There is also a statement in the Upanishads like this, that when the soul leaves the body, then the life air follows it, and when life air follows it, then everyone else follows the life air. So all the senses they leave. So what we see, these external senses, these are only the instruments of the senses. The real senses are subtle, and they are part of the subtle body. So they all go along with the soul. Purim vihaya upagata uparadho bhujangamaha yada tameva anu puri vishina prakritim gata. So then when he is leaving the Puri, then that snake which was blocked by the Yavanas, then he also followed them. And when he followed, then the whole city completely got into pieces. Yada tameva anupuri vishina prakriti gata. So that means when the life air leaves the body, then body becomes completely demolished, it cannot function anymore at all. Yamunairukrudha prakriti mahabhutatmatam. So then all the elements, they merge back into their original elements. So the water goes into water, the earth into earth, fire into fire, space into space, air into air. The body disintegrates. Vikrishyamana prasabham yavnena baliyasa navindata tamsavishta sakhayam suhidam puraha. So then he is taken out by the Yavanaraj, which was fear, by force. Then still he could not remember his old friend. If you remember, it was described in the beginning that Puranjan had one Avigyat Sakha, a friend whose name was unknown and whose actions were also Avigyat, unknown. So because of ignorance, he was not able to remember his friend who is actually his well-wisher, which means he has to take another birth. Because if he could remember him at the time of death, then he does not have to take birth. So that is the meaning that he did not remember. So Vikrishyamana prasabham yavnena baliyasa, forcibly, because nobody wants to give up the body, there is strong attachment. So he is forced out of it. And now in Data Tamsavishta Sakhayam Suhidam, he was not able to remember his friend at all. Tamsa Ajnanena Navindat Sakhayam Purasantam Api Ishwaram. So because of ignorance, that is the meaning of tamasa. Tavayagya Pashvanena Sangyapta Ye Dayaluna Kuthareschitchadu Kruddha Smaranto Mivam Asyatat. So when he was taken, then the animals which have been killed by him in the yajna, in the sacrifice, in a very cruel manner, they all came and attacked him, pierced his body with their sharp iron horns, taking revenge. They were very angry at him. So Kuthareschit Chidu Kruddha Smranto Avivam Asyatat. They remembered how this person has troubled them. So now they are taking revenge. Ye Sangyaptaha Kamya Karmasu Khadge Chinnas Te Tam Kutharei Amibam Aparadham. So usually we think that if you trouble somebody, then that somebody will take revenge when you get another human birth. But here the revenge is also coming before you take birth. Yes, Sangyapta Kamikamsu Khadges Chinna, which have been killed by a sword in the Kamya Karma, in the sacrifices performed for some material desire. So this animal sacrifice is only in the Kamya Karma, it is not there in Niskam Karma. Amibam Aparadham. The word amoeba is a Sanskrit word called amoeba. Okay, and this amoeba. So amoeba means the cause of disease or cause of trouble. So he has troubled them before, so now they are troubling him. That's why there is a mantra which is to be chanted in the ear of the animal before the animal is sacrificed. That now I am killing you and later on you will kill me. So it's very tamasic to say it and then kill the animal. One must be out of one's head. And that's what tamas means. Ananta pare tamsi magno nashta smriti samaha shashvatiranu bhuyartin pramada sanga dushitaha. So he was absorbed in ignorance completely and did not know where he is, and he has actually spent a lot of time when he was living. So after death he remained in the darkness for a long period of time. Sama means years, so for many years. And Nashta Smriti, he did not have any remembrance of what he was doing. So Saswatir Anubhuyarti Pramada Sangha Doshita. And this is because of his attachment to his wife or to the woman. So this attachment is the cause of taking birth again and again. And for that one has to suffer. So Anantapare, Antapara, Sunya. Antapara means unlimited time, has no end. Tamasi Dukhe, Ije cha Bahubhir Yagyariti Uktatvat. So Bahukalam Swarg Sukhama Api Anubhuyati Gaya. So he says long period here also signifies that he also went to heaven because he has performed yajna. So that means this yajna is both a mixture of heaven and hell, the outcome of the yajna. Tasya anuktihi prachin barhi sho vairagyartha stri smarnat stri bhubhu. So why his residence in heaven is not being explained here? Because Narada does not want that this Prachin Bari is already attached to the Yagyas, and if he says he also went to heaven, then he will forget the hell part. And he will think, well, what is wrong? I go to heaven. So he did not even speak about that. But it is understood that he also went to heaven and must have been there for a long period of time, and then into hell, suffering. So he is only stressing the suffering part. So that's why when we preach, try to influence somebody, then you have to influence in such a way that something gets registered in the brain. You don't have to speak everything, but what will impress the mind of that person. So Pramada Sangha Dushita. And because he was very much attached to the woman, then he becomes a woman, which is described in the next verse. Tameva mansa grindan babhuva pramadottama anantaram vidarbhasya rajasinghasya veshmani. So because he was very much meditating on his wife due to attachment, and as it is said that his mind was polluted because of this attachment, so he became a very beautiful woman in the next life from the Uttama. And he was married to a great king of Vidarbha in this life and lived in the palace. So Stri Smarnat Stri Babhu. Because he remembered at the time of death a woman, he became a woman. Because Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyaste ante kalevaram. Whatever you remember at the time of death, that's where you end up. Adhyatma pakshe dukhatishaya prayukta murcha vasadeva mrityu kale sadbuddhi tyage chanika eva. Vastutastu swarga bhogante punya sheshene tadris dharma buddhi vishishta eva dharmika grihe janma leve iti etavadeva vivakshitam. Stritva punshattvadikam tu avivakshitam eva. So now Vishwanath Chakravarti gives a different understanding in this verse. He says, in reality, because he was dying, so there was a great pain at the time of death. And therefore, by that pain, he became unconscious. And then he died. So he says that this giving up of good intelligence at the time of death is only temporary. He is not completely separated from good intelligence, because that is also part of the subtle body. So as long as he remained in this unconscious state, then naturally there is no good intellect functioning at that time. And then he goes to heaven because he's performed yoga. And then the heaven he enjoys for a long time. And then when little bit of punya is remaining, piety is remaining, then endowed with such pious buddhi, he takes birth in the house of some pious parents. And this is the intention of these statements. And there is no intention to say here that he became a man or he became a woman. So that is not the point which is being described. Yad vakshate, as it will be said, kvachit puman, kvachit chaistri, kvachit no bhayam andhadhi, devo manushya gva yatha karma guno bhava. Says some people become men, some become women, some don't become both because of blindness to the piety. Some people become devas, some become human beings, some animals, as per one's karma and guna. Yatha karma guna bhava. So the birth happens according to the karma and the guna. And intention here is not that he became a woman. But the whole story will be described here now, that it becomes a woman in the next life, becomes a queen, and he has a very nice husband, and he is very devoted to that husband. And then the husband will die, and then lamentation. So that is being described in the rest of the chapter. So that will be tomorrow.
There is quite some discussion going on whether the clinical death is really the death of the person when he actually leaves the body. But by a group who oppose the transplantation of organs, because medicine says when the brain stops functioning, then the person is dead, and therefore we can cut whatever we need. And there's another group that says no, the death is not analogous with the stopping of the brain. So from this description, it also seems that that there's a difference, right?
Yes. Yeah, it looks that there is a difference. The brain stops functioning, but person may still be there. Only thing is that if it has stopped functioning, then not much is remaining. And there are people who go in coma. The brain is not functioning. I don't know, but clinical people, or does it, maybe some part is functioning.
In coma, the brain, there must be some brain function.
Yeah, but if the brain is dead, then soul may still be in the body, but probably it will not hang around there for a very long time. If it is dead, there is nothing which can be achieved.
And then it was said here that when the prana leaves the body falls apart. So
Means it starts disintegrating.
So just wondering. So if they take organs from the body and plant it into somebody else's body, and these organs function, what does that really mean? They're just
instruments. So you're taking them before they're completely, dysfunctional. And now you're putting them in another body. That's what it means. And if you don't take them out, then after some time they will rot anyway. That's what it means, that it starts disintegrating.
Yeah, but if you take these organs and the person is not really dead, when they say he is dead, because the brain stops or whatever, then what does that do to that person who is?
I don't think it will do anything to him, because he is not conscious. The brain is dead, and he is not conscious of anything.
I have a niece, and she got a liver transplanted, and it went all very well, and she keeps telling me that this person is visiting her in her flat, even after 2-3 years. The donor, and it's not that he scares her, but he is like really. She feels that there is a presence. That's why I'm wondering.
Yeah, that's possible.
So when according to
when a
this
person
description,
dies, the soul will still wander around the body.
So
And
if
even when the death has happened, the soul has left the body, they still hang around the body. That's why in India they have this system of doing the Shraddha and on this 13th day, because for 13th day there is a possibility for 13 days that the soul hangs around. So then they do all this Garud part, and this is the whole idea.
So then what does this mean in context to the description here that because of too much brain or everything is stopped and there's just a big darkness, and from here I don't understand that the soul or the prana, the person who leaves the body, is really aware of the body after he left it, and is not aware of anything. The buddhi is gone, doesn't function anymore. So how do you?
No, but that awareness is internal. That is not awareness through the brain, because he has the subtle body. You see, we have two things. One is the sense, and then there are instruments through which the sense works. So just like we have ears, these visible ears, and we have one sense of hearing. So when we are sleeping at night, then we have dreams, and in the dream we can hear, but we are not using these ears to hear. So that sense of hearing is being utilized at that time, and not these ears. So we don't hear, of course, any external sound, because these ears are meant for me to hear the external sound. Now I'm only hearing internally. So in the same way with the brain, you are aware of this, your physical body and what is happening, and you control through that. But this brain is an instrument for the subtle body. This subtle body is working through the brain. But subtle body can function without the brain, internally only. Not through the brain. When it works through the brain, then it can do things in the body. And when it is working internally, obviously it cannot move the finger of the body working through that. But it can have its own thought and consciousness and desires. And that is possible.
So when he experiences these animals attacking him with the iron horns, that is like he experiences this like a dream, right?
Mm.
So these animals with the iron horns, these are really creations in his mind?
Well, if that is If the pain is coming, obviously that is only at the subtle level. Because later on it will be described that they are given another type of body to suffer when they go to hell.
The Yatna Sharira.
Yatana Sharira. So he is not given the Yatana Sharira yet. So it's probably just a feeling. After all, what is pain is a feeling. Even now the pain and pleasures, they are only feelings in the mind. Even if it happens somewhere else in the body, ultimately the feeling has to happen in the mind. If it does not happen in the mind, you don't feel it. So that's what the yatana is. So he's only feeling it inside.
So then it was also described that the Yamadutras took him, but they did not give him the Yatna Sharira
At least
from this description.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary that even if the Yamadutras approach somebody, or take somebody, that he actually has that body to suffer.
Not immediately. I think Yatana Sharira is given later on. Maybe he doesn't have to go to hell, so he doesn't need a Yatana Sharira.
But still the Yamadutras do a job.
He has to be taken out. So if he has to go to heaven, then Yamadutas are nice type of Yamadutas. They are not fierce, terrible looking. Then he will get a Bhoga Sharira. Because he has to get some body to enjoy or suffer. Alright.